All right. Good morning, everybody. We are so grateful for another day and to be here with one of our wonderful Brave ambassadors. I am Dayna Murphy, the Executive Director of the Brave Coalition Foundation. And we have been doing these lives to just bring added value to your days. Sometimes, during this situation that we're all in, you need a little bit of time to detach and maybe plug into learning something new. And so this week, Mother's Day is Sunday, and we are focusing on mamas. So we are so lucky to have you, Heidi, with us here today. Heidi is a Brave ambassador. I just said that. She is a survivor. She is a senior talent director with Floodgate Medical, and she is a mama. So welcome, Heidi. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks, Dayna. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to ask you all these questions. Okay, so the focus of today's live is to really talk about your journey through breast cancer with being a mom. Like, being a mom is hard enough, but throwing that extra into there with that diagnosis was, I'm sure, very difficult. So I'm just going to ask you some questions about, how you navigated that. But first, I really think that your story is very impactful. And I would love for you to share with our guests, tell me about your journey.
Sure. So I was diagnosed in my 30s. I had a 3, 6, and 7-year-old at the time. So I was thinking honestly about having another baby. I was definitely not thinking about my health or about, any life-threatening diseases like cancer. And so I had found a lump just during a self-exam and really brushed it off. I honestly thought, this is nothing. I'm 37. This is just a hormonal thing. And I'm so thankful my husband really urged me to go and get it checked out, which I did. And then it was just a roller coaster, as any, cancer survivor will share. It's just this battery of tests and appointments and lots of waiting. It's like, hurry up and wait. So there was about a month of scans and MRIs and ultrasounds and biopsies and lots of doctor's appointments. And I was diagnosed a couple years ago, 2 years ago, with hormonal cancer. So ER/PR positive breast cancer, stage 2/3. And it was obviously devastating. Just any cancer diagnosis is just, words can't describe it. Your just stomach falls out. I remember going into what's now my oncologist's office, and the medical assistant was doing my vitals. And she said, "How are you today?" I think it was the appointment I was going in to get my diagnosis. And she said, "How are you today?" And I just had this, no pun intended, I had this really brave face on, and I was like, I'm so good. I'm so chill. And she called me out. It was so humbling. She took my vitals and she's like, "You're not okay. Your blood pressure is 160 over 110. You're totally freaking out." And I'm like, "Yes, I am." Okay. But that was the part of the journey where I realized, okay, I can't be pretend brave. I'm going to have to just be vulnerable and honest and go through this with honesty and not pretending like I've got it all together or pretending that this is easy, because it's not.
Yeah.
So my journey was pretty standard for, breast cancer, hormone positive. So I had surgery first. I had a bilateral mastectomy. And then I had 5 or 6 months of chemotherapy. And then I did 6 weeks of radiation. And then after that, I had another cancer scare, which thankfully was not cancerous, but that sent me on another roller coaster of surgeries, which landed me in the hospital with a bacterial infection. And I was on a sepsis alert for that. So that was a little bit scary. And then I did reconstruction after that. And that was another, I don't know, 3 or 4 surgeries. So yeah, it's been 2 years since my diagnosis. And I'm just now starting to kind of feel back to normal, which is ironic because now we're in the pandemic and I'm like, I feel normal, but I can't do anything normal because I'm quarantined.
So how many surgeries total? I lost count.
So did I. I don't know. I forgot to mention I also was high risk for ovarian cancer. And so after a lot of just thought and prayer, I decided to have an oophorectomy, which is the surgery to remove your ovaries. And that was a really tough decision. My husband and I think I mentioned it, we're thinking and starting to try to have a 4th baby. And so to make that decision that you can't, reverse was a really big one for us. But weighing the pros and cons between, is it worth trying? It just didn't make sense to keep the ovaries with all of the risks that go along with developing ovarian cancer. So yeah, that was another surgery. So to answer that question, there's probably, I'm going to say 15 surgeries, but I'm not sure of the exact number. I haven't really counted them. I don't think I want to.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, so during all of this, for the last 2 years, you have had children who are growing up and need you and need that attention and all the things. What was the process of when you found out originally what was going on? Did you tell the kids right away? Did you not? Like, what was your process with your husband and discussing that with them, and how much did you share?
Sure. No, that's a really good question. I think the benefit of having young children is that they don't have a context for cancer. They don't really understand the scary part of it. And so I think we were blessed in that regard because we were able to introduce the term to them in a way that didn't diminish it or didn't hide the severity of it, but we were able to present it through the lens of grace and love but truth at the same time. So I would almost use the analogy of if you've ever put together an IKEA piece of furniture, which most people have. I feel like I think we explained it to them like an IKEA manual. It was simple, it was straightforward, but we didn't go into the weeds, and that seemed to work. We just told them that mommy had cancer and she was going to go through some really hard things and it was going to be really hard on the family. But we were a family unit and we were going to work through it together. And there were going to be some hard days and days when mommy didn't want to see them or play games with them or read to them, but we were going to get through it and, just move together as a family.
Oh my goodness. So brave. Kids ask questions about literally everything. What kind of questions did they have for you? What did they, what things were they coming to you and asking you, like XYZ? Like, what were some of their questions?
I would say, well, do you want to know then or now? Because it's 2 different answers. So then the only 2 questions they ask repeatedly are you going to lose your hair? That was the big one. And then, are you going to die? And that was over and over again. So I mean, I hate to smile while I'm saying that, but it was like every day, Mommy, are you going to die? Mommy, are you going to die? So those were the questions before. Now it's morphed into just a hilarious ongoing running joke, because every time we watch TV, there's undoubtedly a commercial for some cancer drug.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, at the end where they're like, sudden side effects may include vomiting, shortness of breath, sudden heart failure. And so they'll turn around, and it's this ongoing joke where they're like, Mommy, are you having shortness of breath or sudden heart attack? Like,
oh my goodness.
So those are the questions they ask now, but that's more just a way to keep cancer light and funny in our family. But yeah, the big one for sure was, Mommy, are you going to die? And the answer to that is yes, I will die. And so will you. And so will all of us. And we can't chase immortality. We will all die. So whether or not I die from cancer, I don't know. That's in the Lord's hands.
I was going to ask you, how did you answer that? So that's a great answer. Something that I know I definitely struggle with, and I couldn't imagine being in your shoes, is asking for help. I feel like I can hold the weight of the world and I don't need help, and I don't want to ask anyone or reach out, for anything. Yeah. During all of these, your treatments, your surgeries, I'm sure hospital stays, who helped you? How did you get over, I don't know if you have a problem asking for help, but how did you kind of break past that barrier and like really let it down and open the doors for help to come in?
That is a very good question. I don't think I struggle with that as much, maybe, as the average person. I remember a very memorable conversation with my mom. I don't know why, just a dynamic that I have with her. I've always wanted to be tougher with her. Maybe it's, I don't know, like I'm trying to prove to her that I'm capable of, that's a whole nother conversation. But I remember her saying, you're going to need like serious help. And I remember telling her, no, let's just play this by ear. Let me get this started, meaning the surgery and the original chemotherapy.
Right.
And she called me out. She was like, no, that's not realistic. And by the time that you recognize your need for help, it'll probably be too late. And you're putting your family into a situation where basically your pride is getting in the way of your family's needs. And that was a really sobering conversation. And of course, only a mother probably has the rights to say that. So needless to say, I invited her out and she stayed with us during pretty much my whole chemo and my mastectomy. And I couldn't have done it without her. But even with her, of help. So we had meals coming, a couple times a week. We had friends coming over and taking my kids to school and gymnastics and soccer. And there's no way I could have done it on my own. So I needed a village and my mom.
Yeah, we all need our moms. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to go over, because this is too good of a conversation to cut short. So I'm going to finish all of the questions. Do you or the kids have, some form of like post-traumatic stress disorder after the fact? How are you managing that? How do you guys talk through that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I don't know how to label it. So I don't know if there's like a clinical diagnosis, but I'm familiar with the term and I think I get what you're asking. And I would say yes. I mean, I think anybody who goes through a very serious disease, and if they said that they didn't have some kind of PTSD, I would question whether or not they were being honest with themselves.
Yeah.
So yes, I definitely experience that. It's not on a daily basis, but certain things trigger it. and I don't necessarily know when I never know when it's going to kind of come on.
Mm-hmm.
Generally a pretty optimistic, positive person. So whenever it does come on, it's like, whoa, where did that come from? Like, this is Jekyll and Hyde. I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
So I don't think so about the kids. I think they were young enough to not be too fazed by it, but who knows? Maybe there'll be lingering, things that come up as they age. One of my daughters is a very deep feeler, and her emotional intelligence is very high. So she is very tuned in to my emotions and my health. And so whenever I'm sad, she's sad. Whenever I cry, she cries, which is sad, but also incredibly sweet for me.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. That connection that you guys have. It's amazing. My son's the same way with me. So it's like, he's like an empath. Like he's just really empathic towards me. What resources did you have, or do you wish you would have had to help you navigate, the family dynamic during this journey?
I think I would have liked someone to sort of be the quarterback of all the moving parts. Mm-hmm. And in theory, that would have been a really helpful solution, because even with the help of neighbors and friends and my mom, everyone was still texting me like, Heidi, how can we help? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even have the bandwidth to even make that decision.
Right.
So I think just having another person take over that responsibility that just owned it and said, I'm going to be her advocate and I'm going to manage all of these delegations and I'm going to arrange for all of these, whether it's like driving someone to school or picking up groceries. So that's probably the thing that comes to mind first. Is that what you meant? Just kind of practically?
Yeah. Like practicality, like bringing, whatever easy tips you wished you would have had, different resources. That is exactly what I think, us as moms, we're always trying to do all the things. So having someone there to be able to manage exactly what you were just saying, even like, it's kind of like an admin, like someone who can schedule the day and make sure everyone eats lunch, and like you're not having to think like, oh, did the kids eat lunch today? You just know that it's going to happen. Yeah. You answered that.
Yeah, I would say, and you didn't ask this, but I'm going to throw it out there because it's on my mind now. I had a ton of very well-meaning, amazing friends frequently reach out with open-ended questions like, how can I help? Or what do you need? And when you're going through something like that, you don't know what you don't know. So what I appreciated, while I appreciated that, what I appreciated more was people who said, I'm dropping off a bag of groceries tomorrow at 9 a.m. Boom. Like, you don't need a response. You're not asking me any questions because I don't have the bandwidth to even think about what groceries I need. Just drop off some cereal. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Oh man, that's good advice. I mean, I think for anyone going through any hard time, that is exactly what people are looking for. Not an open-ended, just I'm doing this and,
I'm doing this for you. Yeah.
Okay. 2 more questions. How are you and the kids now?
We're good. I would say overall, we're doing amazing. We have a really honest, I've mentioned that earlier, our communication is really honest with them. And so I give the kids updates on how I'm doing and how I'm feeling. And we have a lot of open conversations about that. And they know when mommy's crying, I'm hormonal. I went through menopause overnight. Like, that's normal. It's okay for me to have a breakdown every now and again. But they're doing amazing. I'm, healthy, happy. And it's a great place to be when you are on this side of it and you know that it's a possibility that it could come back, but I'm in a place now where I'm focused on quality of life, not quantity of life. And so I'm okay with dying from cancer. But I'm going to live with quality of life, between now and then. So,
Gosh, quality over quantity. I love it. So I kind of touched on it earlier, but we are spotlighting mothers this week, and we, really, I'm so grateful for you to like jump on here, and you talked about your mom and your connection with your daughter, and it's just like so amazing. We are asking people to submit 1-minute videos to our Instagram or Facebook or our email telling us why their mom was or is brave, if she's currently going through treatment or went through treatment. And I want to know, Heidi, why are you brave?
I would say that I am brave because I think that cancer's made something beautiful in my life and out of my life. And it's not something that I can touch or describe, but I do feel that it's a gift that I can pass on to others, to my own daughters, and to those in my life. And it's something that I didn't have before. So I'm actually thankful for it, and I'm excited to share it with others, especially other women who are, going through their own cancer journeys.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being on. We are way over, but this was so amazing. I was like, I'm not cutting it short because this is just too important for other people to hear. I appreciate you being on, and I hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day.
Thank you, Dayna. Happy Mother's Day to you too.
Okay, we'll see you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.